Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the video. In this movie has a spoiler review and breakdown of Peacemaker episode 7. Also, sorry this video is going up super late because I usually upload my Peacemaker spoiler reviews and breakdowns a lot earlier in the day. But don't worry, because next week I will be doing a reaction and review to the episode since it is going to be the finale of the show. Before we get into this week's spoiler review and breakdown, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I open the video or I go live. Both wasting more time. Let's get right into it. So, right off the bat, this was my favorite episode in the entire show so far, and I think this episode itself solidified that this is one of the best superhero shows of all time. I haven't seen a crazy amount of superhero shows outside Disney Plus shows and some of the Netflix shows, so my list isn't that deep, but this show is just absolutely phenomenal. James Gunn didn't even direct this episode, he only wrote it, and it was still absolutely perfect in my opinion. It was the best written episode in the entire series. James Gunn wrote the entire series, but still, this was the best written episode. It was the most emotional, it was the most fun, it was the most heartfelt, it was the most comedic. It had elements of every single thing possible that you would want. It's just a good show as a whole. Whether you take the superhero element out of it or not, it is just a phenomenal show, and that is 100,000% due to the writing by James Gunn. I also have to mention right out of the gate that John Cena is perfect as Peacemaker Chris. He is just so good. I think this episode specifically and this show as a whole does solidify that John Cena is a great actor on his own. He's not just some wrestler turned actor like, for example, The Rock is in. No hate to The Rock. Acting skills wise, John Cena is just phenomenal. He was phenomenal in the Suicide Squad, but he is even better here. This episode obviously packed emotional punches, mainly whenever he has to kill his dad, and we'll get into breaking that down later in this video. But yeah, especially when he has to whenever he kills his dad and he breaks down after he shoots him. Also when he's having that heart-to-heart with Eagly as he thinks Eagly is going to die. He's basically praying to God to hope that Eagly can make it out alive. There are just so many heartfelt moments for him in this episode specifically, but just the whole show in general that really just push John Cena forward as an actor. And I think more people need to take him seriously, and I think it's just because The Rock has made this idealistic thing of like, if you're a wrestler turned actor, you're not that good of an actor, you're just a buff dude that can play your own role, like you can just play yourself all the time, and that's so stupid to me. And I'm glad that John Cena is finally breaking through that barrier. But now to get to the actual breakdown of episode 7 of Peacemaker. Now, after last week's episode, I knew that obviously we were gonna have one episode dedicated to the White Dragon and another episode dedicated to the butterfly thing, and I was betting on the fact that this 7th episode would revolve around defeating that whole the White Dragon storyline, his dad and all that kind of stuff. And after we got the episode name revealed, obviously we knew it because the White Dragon was in the title. I'll also say this episode had one of the best cold opens of any show I've seen in a very, very long time. Honestly, I'd say since like Daredevil. Cold open is when we see that whole memory that's been haunting us throughout the entire show of when Peacemaker kills his brother, and we see how much of an asshole his dad really is, and we just see all these crazy this life impactful core memory from Peacemaker that was just teased the entire time before this, and it's just so well shown, and it has real impact because it's going back and forth from current day Peacemaker to when he was a kid in that actual fight, and it's just so well crafted in my opinion. But out to the actual episode, I will say the ending of last episode with a journal, that kind of stuff, very, very intriguing. I'm very happy that we actually knew exactly who it was being Adebayo, and we knew exactly that she was the one who planted the journal, because that made for the beginning of this episode to be even better when Harcourt pulls up on Adebayo, confronts her, and then Myrn comes in, and Myrn's basically like, y'all gotta stop fighting, the police are coming for us, we have no choice, we gotta run. And then obviously Myrn ends up dying. And then we also see the cop, Agent Goff I think her name is. Whenever the butterfly comes out of Myrn, Agent Goff takes the butterfly and almost kills it. Obviously we see that still alive later in the episode when Harcourt has the heart-to-heart moment. But I will say that was one of the most emotional moments in the episode. I think I would say it's the second most emotional or third most emotional behind Peacemaker's dad's death and just Peacemaker's acting there and Eagly. I'll also say obviously this episode was super emotional and all that kind of stuff. It was just phenomenal in that fashion, but it was also hilarious, and the action was also just absolutely breathtaking. For the little amount of time that Judo Master was in this episode, he was so funny. Outside of the gas station, those scenes were hilarious, and I will say they didn't have much to do with the main storyline. He'll probably pull up next episode I think, but it was still great to see him back here, back in action, and his fighting is always fun. I just really love it. But after this gas station thing, we finally get back to the White Dragon, which we saw at the end of the last episode, and god damn is that suit clean. I tweeted this. I just absolutely love the White Dragon suit, especially after Vigilante blows it up or like throws the grenade and has all those like scorching marks over it. It's so well done in my opinion. And overall, I just love that Peacemaker and his dad's relationship is further fleshed out within these fights and within these different little moments and stuff like that. And I also love the way that they paced out this fight against the White Dragon, how in the beginning the White Dragon obviously has the upper hand when he knocks over the truck, and then we have that hilarious scene with Vigilante where he's shooting all of them and he throws a grenade, and then obviously he takes their car, he falls asleep, and it's just great segues writing wise to go from one place to another. For example, like they went from Vigilante stopping the car, then they went back to Autobio, then they went to Judo Master, and then they came back to the situation, but instead of focusing on Vigilante, it was on John Cena's Peacemaker and Economo. But now skipping to kind of near the end of the episode where we just see the Peacemaker versus his dad fight, Peacemaker versus the White Dragon. It's an absolutely phenomenal fight, and I just love the way that they also do power balances in this show, where White Dragon is obviously a lot stronger than Peacemaker, and it's not that easy for Peacemaker to just beat the White Dragon, but with the help of Vigilante and obviously Economos, they do defeat the White Dragon. And I also love the way that Economos and Vigilante are planted into the fight, because you don't want it to seem like, oh, they're always just saving the day and something like super like Peacemaker never has to work alone. Peacemaker is putting up a great fight, and then obviously Vigilante has to come in and he stabs the White Dragon in the neck, basically disabling the entire suit. His dad doesn't have like the powers coming out of his wrists anymore, stuff like that. And then Economos comes out, shoots all the KKK people, and then Peacemaker goes absolutely berserk, punching his dad in the face over and over and over. And this is just such an emotional moment. Oh, and right before this, the reason that Peacemaker is so fueled up is because his dad basically kills Eagly in that moment. Well, everyone thinks that Eagly's dead in that moment. I even thought Eagly was dead, and I was like, okay, this is it. Like Peacemaker, he's going off, he's becoming a killing machine again, nothing's gonna stop him. And then obviously Eagly wasn't dead, but I loved that motivation factor and the way that they played that out in the episode itself. And then obviously at the end of the episode, they're all together at the vet clinic and stuff like that, and then they're all just coming together, and Eagly and Peacemaker have this heart-to-heart. Well, it's just Peacemaker to Eagly really, but Autobio is standing outside looking into the room and kind of understanding that this is a family. Even after that though, Peacemaker doesn't really forgive her for the journal thing, because it is basically changing his life forever. Everyone has a different perception of him, all that kind of stuff. And he says that you're not really part of our team, I hate looking at you, all the mean stuff possible. But from Peacemaker's perspective, it does make sense. So I wouldn't say that I'm mad at Peacemaker for having that perspective, but at the same time, you kind of got to understand Autobio's perspective and how she was pressured into it. I also like that Autobio's motives, like she wasn't necessarily trying to defend herself as much as she was trying to defend the fact that it was slightly right. She doesn't want to defend Amanda Waller, but she just wants to make an excuse up for herself, whereas Amanda Waller would just want to make an excuse up for the whole thing and kind of prove that she was actually right in this moment. But as a whole, that's basically all I wanted to say for this episode. Again, very emotional. The Eagly and Peacemaker connection scene where he's praying to God to bring Eagly back, that's one of my favorite moments from John Cena in all of his acting career. And as a whole, this episode is one of my favorite pieces of DCEU content that we've ever gotten. Again, I just truly love this episode. I'm truly loving this show. And again, hit that subscribe button and notifications on, because next week when the finale premieres on HBO Max, I'll be doing a reaction video to it. And at the end of the reaction video, I'll also have my review. It'll be a spoiler review and breakdown as normal. But again, that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought of Peacemaker episode 7 in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.